right, clean run. Not all the way canned. Got the maiden run done. That went really well. Quite pleased with how the boat handles, and I have a few comments on it and also a couple more details to share on this build. Thought it was pretty special hitting 100 mile an hour on the Maiden. Kind of made that my goal going out there, but at the same time you're still checking out a new build. Wasn't going to really push it, but came in at 100 mile an hour and I took that, and kind of feel like I seen enough about the boat as far as how it's running. But a couple things to show you that's I've done a little bit differently, and I think is only helping this boat run better on the extra weight of an 8S electronic system, and something else I noticed that's different on the handling. First thing is the Zippkits strut. Look at it. This is their hardware, and I noticed right away how far behind the rudder that the prop is. And so many guys will put extensions on rudders. They want them out as far out as the prop. And I wonder if this handles better than my first one, which has a tendency to hook or oversteer on the turns. This setup is working out really good. I think it's part of the reason for the handling on the turns. Doesn't oversteer. Here's the setup I have on my first one. This is Speedmaster hardware that I went with, and way less setback. It's about what most people want. The rudder is about as far back as the prop. I'm not so sure about that. And part of the reason I say that is the other change that I did from a way the instructions are is this the ride pads. I shifted this wood all the way to the outside. Lined it up flush on the inside here, just to give it a little more surface area. And then on this one here, I also shifted it this way, and then I blended it in all the way up to the front of the sponsons. And when I did that on my first one, I thought that's why it was hooking the turns. So I sanded it off, ran it, then I even put a slight bevel on that edge, and it still would oversteer or hook the turns. So I have that on this one, give it a little more surface area on the ride pads to carry the weight of the 8S electronics. But I'm thinking this has more to do with how it handles, because it is not oversteering with this basically a sharp lip on the outside of the sponsons. I have another critical tip for using the Zippkits strut. It comes with a single bolt, and this part of the strut, this back edge here, right here, comes down at an angle and then comes out. And what that lets you do is tilt it to set your angle. It's not a square edge on the back side of that strut. Well, that single bolt, tight as I could put it, I could still move this strut. It wouldn't hold position. And I think that's a critical setting. So I added another bolt right there. I want to positively know that I got my setting on my strut angle. we look on the inside of the boat here, I have a series harness, and I shortened it. It was longer here. So it's all 8-gauge wiring, and I have QS8 connectors. So very important as far as ripple current and that damaging your ESC. Keep the wires as short as you can, heavy gauge, and good quality big connectors. I also did not use the battery tray. Don't want the height in there, so I can fit bigger lipos. I showed it my build where I cut these ends off. These were the cross members, and then the battery tray glued on top of that. So I just used the ends to plug the holes. Here's the outside and there's the inside, instead of filling them with epoxy. And that lets me run these lipos. SRD, Speed Run Drag Series by SMC Superior Matching Concepts. These are some awesome lipos. 250C discharge. And so the size of them, they fit barely. And then with the jam foam, they're not going anywhere. And I don't even think if you get in a big wreck, I don't think that battery tray is holding the weight of these batteries in there. Not worried about losing the batteries in a wreck, as far as because I don't have a battery tray. But the milliamp hours is also part of performance. The volts are the same, but with a higher milliamp hour LiPo, you get less voltage sag. Which brings me to talking about the data log readings on my first run. I'll put a screenshot of it up and we'll talk about it a little bit. The ripple current, excellent. So what I've heard about ripple current is you don't want it to exceed 10%. And the way to calculate that is you divide the ripple current by the nominal volts of the battery. So for ADAS system, it's 29.6. So if you take 0.93, divide it by 26.9, you come up with 0.031. So that's 3.1%. Very, very good. And moving over to the amps, only pulled 223.4 amps on that run. From what I heard, they won't say it in the ratings, but you can push the Castle XLX2 ESC to like 500 amps. So I got plenty of headroom there. Put out 8.1 horsepower on that run and got 43,409 RPMs. So those are some really good numbers for a 100-mile-an-hour run, I think. It was pretty much a stroll in the park. So after looking at the numbers on the data log, got me thinking about the props. I ran this 1819 1745 prop, this ABC prop, and this has been a really good prop for me. I believe I ran like 119 with my other 33 with this prop. So mostly looking at my data log numbers. I'm not stressing electronics. I've already changed out to this one. 1820 2245. So the big change is in the rake angle. A little bit more pitch, so it's a little taller prop, but it's going to have a narrower thrust cone than the 17-degree rake angle. So that should loosen the front end up a little, actually. Without changing anything, leaving the strut angle alone, leaving the angle alone on the curved turn fin, not change the center of gravity, making one change. slightly narrower thrust cone. We'll run it again, not too hard. I'm still going to be feeling it out, but I want to check it out on flat water. I had a little bit of ripples, and I don't feel like I got a real good read on those runs on the Maiden. Couldn't see it on video, but I could see it's getting a little bit of air, but it could have just been going across the ripples. So make a very slight change to thrust cone angle. So a little bit less lift in the back, which should translate to loosening it up a little bit. And we'll take it out and send her again. I have some more videos coming soon. Kind of waiting on the weather right now. It's spring weather. It's kind of cool. To catch me a little bit warmer day and flat water for sure.